Alright, welcome everyone. It is quite late. I do understand that.
Next? If you'd like.
Let's see if we can check out if the audio's coming through. It is. Delightful, delightful. Alright, but today was quite busy for me, so I still wanted to at least get in here and stream like I said I would. So you can see that I'm at the pharmacy. If you all were in yesterday's live stream, you'll remember I was stating that I was trying to get through Baiju's story quest because I'd already started it, and I didn't want to plop you guys like halfway through it. So we have completely caught up with Honkai Star Rail, and so with what's currently out. So now you all are in my Genshin account. And no, we are not going to start over from the beginning because that's a lot to do. Because let's show you all where I'm at. I have all of Mondstadt completed at 100%. I have Dragon Spine at 100%. I have all of Leeway, including the Chasm, at 100%. And that also includes the Underground Chasm. It is also at 100%. Though I do have a few time trials I have not been able to complete yet. I have them marked there. I have all of Inazuma 100%ed, and I also have Enkonomiya at 100%. So, just due to exploration alone, I do not think I would be willing to start this game over. I think I would actually cry. Now, when it comes to Sumeru, that's where we're a bit behind. I am not in Fontaine. I've been to Fontaine, obviously, because I've unlocked it, but I'm not anywhere close to that quest. Well, I could go to Fontaine if I felt like it, but we're gonna get there the way I've done everything else. I was so late getting to Inazuma because I refused to go to Inazuma until I had Leeway completely explored. So it's the same thing with Fontaine. I'm just gonna wait. Unfortunately, I'll get spoiled for the main quest, I'm sure. But I'm gonna wait until I get 100%. So as you can see, I have the entirety of the rainforest 100%ed, and very little of the desert done. Biggest one I've done is this one at 66%. The rest of the desert is not really explored at all, because I haven't done many quests, and I also have kind of just not wanted to go into the desert to explore either. Because there are so many mechanics, and I rushed through the desert unlocking it, which I haven't even done fully. I think I have all of them here. Yeah, there are a few teleport points that I do not have unlocked. And so there's just a lot for me to do. As you can see, I have these markers are just where I've gotten something, and then it's a reminder to myself to go into my interactive map and mark it off, because the interactive map is a godsend if you are trying to actually 100% things. I have a few things in Sumeru that I still need to find that were on the interactive map, like there's a co-op jumping chest here that I don't have. This one, if you follow a Sumpter Beast, I call it a mammoth, but if you follow the Sumpter Beast and you get it all the way, I think, like, over here, it gives you a chest. I got it to, like, here before it died to some of those tigers. And then there's one more here where I have to pop all the bubbles in Apam Woods. And then one of the chests that gives furniture will appear there. I have not been able to complete those tasks yet to completely do the area. But yeah, so I have all this. I did get all the way through the Sumeru Archon quest. As you can see, this is why I say I could go to Fontaine if I felt like it, because I could do this quest and then move on to Fontaine. It's interesting because I didn't know that you could skip the interludes. But Act 3 has an interlude, and that's probably what we're going to be working on today. What quest is this person in? The Seeker of the Media Shower. Oh, this one. Okay. I have quite a few story quests that I just got after finishing the Archon quest. As you can see, Yoimiya, Dehya, Alhaitham, and Nahida. And then we got these guys. I have completed most of the hangouts. I got to, I think, pretty much, Hazo, and then the rest of these you couldn't get to because they're quest locked. Like, you have to finish Alhaitham's quest to be able to unlock Kave's. You have to unlock, progress the main story to unlock Kaya's, like, kind of thing. And then I have quite a few sub-main scenarios that are in the desert, I believe. And then a few just short quests. Not many of those, though. And then let's show you my characters. So you can see all of the characters I have here. One thing I've been trying to do is get everybody up to the max level. But that's taking quite a bit of time. But we are making good progress. I almost have everybody up.
This wine tastes the same as I remember.
Thank you, sir. But we almost have everybody up to 70, and then I can go on, I think 70 is like, yeah, and then I'll be up to like the max level. I'll get everybody to 80, and then I'll slowly creep up to 89. Now you might ask, why 89? I never level up characters to 90. 90 happens if I use you enough in combat that you naturally get it. Hence why Zhongli, who never leaves my team, is the closest, I think. No, Kokomi might be, to level 90, because oh, I think D-Luke might be like just a tiny bit more. D-Luke was my first 5-star, so hence why I pamper him with his outfit. And then currently the banner we are on at the time of this live stream is My Love, Zhongli, and of course Child. I have been able to pull 2 5-stars on his banner. One of which was him, where I won the 50-50, and then the second one I got Chi-Chi'd, which means I'm guaranteed. I don't think in the next 19 hours I'll have enough time to get a 10 pull, but that's exciting because that means I'm guaranteed for New Valette, and I bet everybody is super excited for him. I know I am. I want to pull him. And then I don't need to pull Hu Tao, I already have her. She's my only regret pull. I was trying to pull for Toma when he came out, when I got Hu Tao. And then, of course, we will want Risley, I believe is his name. Kazuha is a recent pull. I had to fight desperately to get this man. I have been trying to get him since his release banner, and I have lost the 50-50 every single one of his banners. Alright, so we have quite a bit to do when it comes to Sumeru, but progress will be made. Alright, so we are going to start with the interlude Archon quest because of the fact that I believe this is the one that introduces this version of the Wanderer. And we will finally be able to name him, which I am excited for, because I have picked out a name for him for ages, and I will explain it on stream once I get to name him. I was very excited to get him. I have been trying to pull, ignore the fact that he has no artifacts when I say I want to get him. I've been trying to pull his stupid bell every single time he's had a rerun banner, and every single time I lose the 50-50 on the weapon banner. I agree with people when they say it's a scam. Oh, there's like actually, I didn't notice that there were actually like drawings in their books. That's nifty. Alright, so let's get this party started. Now, if a random, like you all know that sometimes you can walk into random quests. If that happens, I'll try to figure out which one it is and tell you, but for now we're going to be working on Wanderers. Well, it's not technically Wanderers, it's Archon Chapter 3 Interlude, but you know.
Come on, serious suggestions, please. I'm not trying to write a thriller here. It's supposed to be an essay, you understand? An essay. That means facts and logic.
And this is what I mean, because I have so many of the personal story quests, sometimes you'll just walk straight into one of them, and so we'll see which one this is.
Well, if it's facts and logic you're after, you shot yourself in the foot with your choice of research topic, didn't you? The Tatara Suna mystery. When so much remains unexplained, there's little to be objective about. Unless, of course, you restrict yourself to textual criticism.
Yeah, well, this is my teacher's area of research. I can't change that. But it's fascinating enough without having to sensationalize it, don't you think? The strange location, the missing details, a mysterious person. I want to write my essay on something interesting, and I'm interested in getting to the bottom of all this. That's the only reason I came to you.
Yes, you came to me. So all the more reason to take my advice. The fact is, it's the dramatization that will make people want to read it. There's no getting around that.
Okay, but...
Did one of them just mention Tatara Suna? But that's all the way in Inazuma! Is it just Paimon, or is it kinda unusual for someone in Sumeru to want to write a paper about that? Everyone here's just going about their business. Maybe it really is just Paimon. Guess people here are free to research pretty much anything.
I have honestly, I swear to God, I've forgotten this area that they're talking about that apparently is in Inazuma.
Great! Let's go find out what this Tatara Suna mystery is all about.
Okay, so it is part of the quest that we're on. Just hop over. Something that everyone in Honkai Star Rail wishes they could do.
Alright, I guess I'll go with my textual criticism and your editorial direction for the first draft. I have a feeling that the missing Kabuki Mono will end up being the main focus of this paper. Ugh. If only we knew where to find that traveler. From what they say about him, this seems like the kind of thing he'd know about.
Me? Me?
Oh, you're the traveler, you say?
Well, it's good that they're questioning to make sure I'm not just some...
Face! Don't believe us?
Make sure I'm not some, like, rando.
No, of course I believe you. Actually, I first heard about your great exploits when I was still in Inazuma. This is my first time coming face to face with you and your mysterious silver-haired companion. I couldn't believe my luck, and out of force of habit, I started, examining the evidence. Sorry.
Oh, Sawada, for the love of... Sorry, we don't get out much, so our social skills are kinda lacking.
Same.
Traveler, I hear you've helped many people a great deal and been to many places. Would you be able to tell us about Tatara Suna?
Actually, we don't know much about that place either. In fact, we only came over here because we heard you talking about it and wanted to learn more.
Ah, I see. My teacher chose this area of research as a personal challenge. He said it's difficult to get into because even Inazumans don't know much about Tatara Suna's past. But who'd have thought that...
If you don't mind, I'd love to show you all my outline for the book I'm writing about Tatara Suna.
Hold on, Sawada. Don't you think that's a bit of a deep dive for a first read?
Well, fair point. In that case, please ease yourselves in gently by taking a look at Akaba's latest essay draft.
Let me give you some background. This all started with the discovery of some records in Tatara Suna. The writings mentioned someone by the name of Mikoshi Nagamasa, who crafted a fine blade. But in the end, he threw it into a fire to destroy it, and killed his servant Katsuragi. Why? Well, no one knows. Apart from the swordmaker, his servant, and the one who wrote this all down, the records also mention a kabuki mono. This seems to be an Inazuman word for an eccentric stranger, someone who dresses funny or acts in an unusual way.
That's right. Akaba's teacher has spent quite some time researching these events on the ground. This kabuki mono lived in Tatara Suna for a while before disappearing without a trace. And shortly afterwards, as Akaba mentioned, things got pretty ugly.
Okay. I usually just let auto go because it's better than me having to sit here and like click constantly. But thoughts. We just due to the fact that you cannot escape spoilers on the internet unless you do quest lines like the minute they drop. We already know that this is about like this one is kind of about the Wanderer. It's kind of about Scaramouche, right? From our time in Inazuma, we know that one of the great swordmaker clans was Kazuha, and if you've done Kazuha's story quest, which I have, you'll find out that Scaramouche is actually linked to the history of the Kazuha. Oh, I forgot his last name. His like clan, right? That he is like linked to that past. So I imagine the kabuki mono might be Skara, and that the swordmaker might be Kazuha's ancestors. I'm curious if the sword they're referring to is the demonic sword that you get at the end of the story quest and you can fight using. Once we get out of this talk, I'll show it to you. But I'm curious if that's what they're referring to.
So first this strange person goes missing, then a murder happens? Seems kind of fishy to Paimon.
Yes, my thoughts exactly. So I helped out too. I asked everyone I could think of if they knew anything about what happened back
Of course
then.
I get hiccups.
And wow! Did I get lucky?
Stop shouting!
This part's important. I just wanted to make it stand out. It just so happens that a friend of mine works at the government records office. He looked into it for me, and I can now confirm that all the aforementioned individuals did, in fact, live in Inazuma over 400 years ago. Even back then, Tatara Suna was already at the center of Inazuma's smelting industry. The man in charge was a government official named Niwa. Curiously enough, it seems like he went missing too.
Oh, of course I get hiccups while on stream. Could it be?
Wait, so there are 2 missing people in this town now?
That's right! What's more, Niwa is a name with a lot of history to it. Have you ever heard of the great swordsmith clans of Inazuma?
Oh, the swordsmiths? Yeah, like Genshin art and so on?
Wow, yes. You really know your stuff. That makes things easier. So basically, this Niwa was a distant relative of the Kaidahara clan, the last practitioners of Ishin art.
Yeah, Kaidahara Kazuha. Okay, yes. I'm right. Oh, I get aggressive hiccups. I don't get like the quiet little hic kind of things. I get like the loud, aggressive ones.
Something then seems to have happened in the Kaidahara clan, leading to their downfall. I don't know the details, but taken in light of everything else going on around that time, it makes you wonder whether it's all connected somehow.
The Kaidahara clan?
Sawada, you left out the biggest detail of all.
There's more?
Oh, yes, of course. How could I forget? Brace your minds, ladies and gents, for they are about to be blown. Or maybe you won't believe your ears. I wouldn't blame you, of course, because in all my years as a writer, this is by far the most.
Oh my gosh, I love him. A lot of people are like, oh, the quests are so boring, but when they're voice acted, I love them. They're just delightful to sit here and watch them just like have it. And he's so suspenseful. Like I would read his book. If he can translate the way he talks into written text, it'd be a delight to read.
Get to the point, for Pete's sake.
This is all the Genshin players who don't care about lore.
According to information acquired by Akaba's teacher, the Kabuki Mono was not a human, but a puppet.
Hey, it is Skara. Okay.
A puppet?
The Shogun puppet that the Electro Archon made. Oh, it went too fast. The Kabuki Moko has to be the Balladeer, but what was he doing 400 years ago in the Tatarasuna?
Aha! Judging by the looks on your faces, you do know something after all.
I'm so sorry. Glare at Paimon and hope she keeps her mouth shut.
No! Paimon just meant, how creepy. The way you described it makes it sound like a ghost story.
I agree, it does. But considering that non-human races in Inazuma are by no means uncommon, spooky events are to be expected. And that's exactly what my book is about. Please, take a look.
I would love to read anything he wrote. Alright. Hopefully the way he talks translates into written text. Alright, extract 1. A man arrives in Tatarasuna around 3 in the afternoon. From afar, he spied laborers walking along the mountain roads towards the factories, their shoes scuffing along the jutting stones. They walked like people convinced that so long as they reached the fire raging in the mountain's belly, they might extract from it gems beyond price. The mood that the sight inspired was ineffable, beyond mere description for those not present to witness it. The man barked a cheerful greeting and sprinted to join the procession. There, a towering character who stood half a head taller greeted him with a heavy slap on the back, and yet his words were filled with respect. Do my eyes deceive me? Sir Miyazaki, I cannot think that the return trip here from Inazuma City could have been easy on you. Oh, Miyazaki smiled like a young man taking the first steps on their journey, expression relaxed. Why, Katasaragi, Inazuma in the realm of the almighty Shogun. I sailed upon the fastest ship, strode upon the swiftest sea routes. What dangers could I have possibly faced? And what about the good news? There was some, naturally. The two burst into uproarious laughter, housing with the other workers until the past's end. A young man dressed in a linen shirt and wearing a headscarf gazed into the dancing flames of the furnace before him. Now the flames of a forge are unlike any other, for their intensity affects the resulting integrity of both metal and blade. So too, then, was the Flame Watcher an unusual individual. Oh gosh. At his fingertips sat a lizard, and on his face he wore a smile. The workshop was huge, and the furnace was deeper within. A reasonable person might think that there should have been many working alongside the Watcher, yet he stood alone. Only when Katsuragi and Miyazaki strode into the room did the Watcher turn. This Watcher was Niwa, armory officer and administrator of the Tatarasuna, born to the Niwa clan, which served as one of the 3 pillars of the Ishin art. Niwa never argued with his siblings and was a worthy successor by all accounts. The post he received as a result of his high standing with those in power served as a statement unto itself. Miyazaki handed a well-bundled text to Niwa as he adjusted this expression and said, "It is as you have said, sir. The elders of your clan in the city do not think highly of our plan. Yet I still believe it will be worth a try. As such, I have found the proper vendors and procured the materials that you requested." Niwa studied the text and nodded. "We should try some of these new forging techniques. Whether Kadehara says yea or nay. Katsuragi frowned, and with a sigh he said, "Forging is a precise and difficult undertaking. You know this better than most, sirs, and still you seek improvement each day with terrifying drive. Ah, should my lord Nagamasa hear this, the sourness in his face shall be hard to miss." Niwa smiled, replying, "And how goes the forging of your lord's great blade, Katsuragi?" Katsuragi neither wanted to shame his master nor lie to his two friends, and yet he could not think of a way to deflect, and so groused, "I see your ears are as keen as your hands, Sir Niwa. The jokes of an unlearned man are as nothing before you." Miyazaki, oh gosh, it's jumping with my hiccups. Miyazaki hid his grin. Upon hearing this, Niwa released the lizard from his hand into Katsuragi's palm. But just as more words were about to be exchanged, someone came walking nearby. Their footsteps light with the celerity of youth. The head that peeked in was round, and in the light of the fires looked like an oiled jewel. The young man placed some box food at his side and nodded. He prepared to leave. Katsuragi called out to him, "What about your share? Aren't you going to eat it?" The young man, upon hearing those words, found himself slightly at a loss. After a while he answered, "Very well, I'll try it. You are welcome to the food. We all eat the same fare, after all," Niwa said. The man nodded and left, seemingly deep in thought. Extract 2. The Kabuki-mono was by the coast. Sunset fell to the accompaniment of darkness. The bands of twilight showed themselves not, for in their place stood thunderclouds royal, grumbling the omens of coming rainstorm. Darkness filled the flesh of the sea, and the dust bade the clouds to kneel upon the land, its supplication mirroring the Kabuki-mono, with knees bent and face pointing towards the waters. None passed that way, and none knew what he was waiting for in silence. Time passed, unmeasured and uncounted, till a black cloud suddenly tore free from the sky and began to circle the Kabuki-mono, bearing down on him like a nightmare. Ooh. Though he was not aware at first, after his studying gaze was refined by time, he understood. This cloud had marked him from the very start. Unbound, a fishing boat drew near, and the lights of its bow flickering in and out of sight beneath falling sheets of rain. A mist unspooled across the area, stealing sight from the fisherman. Repeatedly he exclaimed, "It is but dusk! How are my eyes darkened? Is there anyone that can deliver my boat upon safe tides?" Like a falling spear, the black cloud reached the bottom of the boat and was joined in its bereftness of direction. Like a charging beast, they plunged into the shoreline. Scant steps away, the Kabuki-mono stood idle, slanting its head to study the grand wreck. Not but half an arm was left to the one who had cried out for help, and with a plop, it landed at the Kabuki-mono's feet. He crouched to better study the object, straining against the urge to take a bite out of it. Okay. Yet he did not, for the dark cloud swirling down had already picked the remnants of the ship clean. The Kabuki-mono stared at it blankly, like a wakening dreamer. When he returned to himself, the clouds had scattered, as if they had never been there at all. As for the ship, could it have been struck down by a storm? Who was to know? Not the Kabuki-mono. Extract 3. Katsuragi rushed to the doorway and shouted, "Oh God, my lord, things go ill at the furnace. I have searched for Sir Niwa, but there is no trace of him, and much time has passed since Sir Miyazaki left to seek aid, but he has yet to send us any missive. Look, Mikoshi Nagamasa turned slowly, his face grave as one attending a funeral. He spoke then, his words heavy-laden. "I wish not to say such words, Katsuragi, but Sir Miyazaki may never return." Katsuragi peered past Nagamasa's broad, stiff shoulders beyond the windows. The clouds above boiled in waves as black as if darkness now was the only weather, and might even morph into an abysmal beast and devour Tatarasuna whole. Oh, is this the forging place? The island that was having, like, the lightning storm constantly that you have to do the quest to clear out? Alright. Over 10 people had already perished. That was why Katsuragi recoiled if struck. Yes, it is coming back to him now in dribs and drabs. That was why they had to set out to seek aid. Miyazaki had been the first to set sail. The clouds had only just begun to form then. Traveling from Tatarasuna to Inazuma to ask for support was normally no great feat, and yet there had been no signs of his return. Then a second ship was sent, followed by a third, and a fourth. till the Kabukimono himself had departed upon the tides, under foul skies and ominous fortunes. It had been Katsuragi who had brought him back and treated him as his own, and it pained him greatly to see the lad go. Yet, the situation in Tatsarasuna was severe. Even should they sacrifice more lives, it would have been worth it to gain assistance from the Inazuma city. Niwa was gone, and none could find him. Afterward, Nagamasa led a search party into the mountains and the area around the furnace, all to no avail. Folk began to wonder if Niwa might have encountered an accident, but worry soon turned to suspicion. Oh god. They wondered if he had fled, unwilling to bear the sin of having caused these incidents. The people grew even more suspicious, and Nagamasa himself strained against his discontent and fury. His face had grown to resemble the rumbling clouds above. Suddenly, a figure flashed by. Their presence did not go unnoticed by Nagamasa. He drew his blade and cut through, though he only nicked the silken veil the intruder wore. For a moment they swayed, and then, like a chariot pulled by strings, they moved behind Nagamasa, laughing darkly. "Are you seeking someone, my lord?" Niwa, perhaps. Nagamasa bellowed in fury. "You dare address Sir Niwa directly!" And yet the figure parted like the mist before his falling blade, only to rematerialize before reach, but not beyond sight. Oh, beyond reach. A ghastly apparition indeed. "Was it you who slew my people?" Nagamasa howled and charged, held back only by Katsuragi's desperate grip. As his senses returned to him, he realized he was but an inch away from falling into the furnace. It seems that the rest of this work remains unfinished. From the existing text, however, it is apparent that this is a novel of fantastical, colorful sensibilities, born from the imagination, well utilized.
Oh, and please read my essay draft as well.
I got through all that, and there's another one? Okay. See if we can go back into that voice. Details. This text belongs to a series of works sponsored by the Vahumana's Veil Cutter project. It is yet to be numbered. Author Aquaba. Abstract. The Tatarasuna area has always been a major pillar of Inazuma's smithing industry. 2 incidents have occurred here, and the details behind the first are vague at best. I believe, however, that there might be a hidden history behind the events that transpired. Hence, this paper will attempt to analyze what may have unfolded from the available data. Glossary. Tatarasuna area. Raiden Gokuden. Mikoshi Nagamasa Kabukimono. Introduction. This paper continues and expands the work of my mentor, Mr. Rumi, in his report on the happily hidden tales of Tatarasuna. Isn't that a book we can find? And is intended to further this avenue of research. According to the data, the blade forging techniques of Inazuma were originally handed down from the Electro Archon, also known as the Raiden Shogun. Using the arts they inherited from their Archon, the people of Inazuma devoted themselves to the process of forging. However, strange rumors that do not quite fit the steely nature of metalwork yet linger around Tatarasuna, which is the central pillar of the forging industry. There, the Mikoshi and Niwa clans, along with the eccentric puppet, serve as the 3 windows of insight we need to investigate the truth behind what happened. Body. Strange notes from Tatarasuna area. Their contents are as follows. 1. Perhaps I overstep, but I think that Sir Nagamasa's mood grows better when he forges blades. The obsession to cleanse and the stain of the name Mikoshi must eat at him. Also, Sir Katsuragi's discovered nameless eccentric while patrolling through Nazuchi Beach. 2. The inspector bought a certain number of jade steel ingots. Sir Katsuragi discovered matters of smithing deep into the night with a vice armory officer. 3. We are last made a single nagamaki. We call it the Daitatara Nagamasa. The inspector was in high spirits, and he and the vice armory officer, Nozomu, was so taken by the beauty of the Daitatara Nagamasa that he drew a picture of it, and he performed a sword dance with the wandering eccentric. 4. And we could not find that eccentric. The inspector flew into a rage and slashed at Katsuragi. The great blade cut deep into the flesh, cast his own nagamaki into the furnace's flame. Nozomu could not abide by that order and drew the completely melted weapon out of the furnace. He was horribly burned. 5. Nozomu died that night. I dare say that while Sir Katsuragi may have committed malfeasance, it was it was out of the goodness of his heart. 6. Kinjiro hid the Nagamasa and Nozumu's drawings in the arsenal. Nagamasa is harsh, but also knows right from wrong. But even so, he is not amenable to reason. His name indicates one obsessed with purity. Still, I, and some households of the Tatarasuna, have not been blinded by the matters of Nagamasa's mother, Chiho, and we trust him. I also remain unwilling to forget the joy of creating the Daitatara Nagamasa with him, and the joy of watching that nameless eccentric perform that sword dance with Katsuragi. 7. Before we withdrew, we should have divided the arsenal key into 3 parts, one for the inspector, one for the armory officer, and one to be left in Tatarasuna itself to prevent theft. But we were in too much of a hurry, and neither the inspector nor the armory officer could be found. So I was so bold as to hide the 3 pieces within treasure chests in Tatarasuna, which we know because we have to find those chests to fix the lightning that's going on the island. The 7 notes mentioned prior have been scattered across Tatarasuna area. Among the 7 notes, 6 seem to be of good physical integrity, though they all look quite old, while the last one looks more recent. I believe that the first 6 notes and the last are of different time periods. Oh gosh. Though the gulf in years between them needs to be verified. The contents of the first 6 should also be related to each other, and the incidents mentioned are quite consistent with one another. Rumi once mentioned the happily hidden tales of Tatarasuna, hereby known as the Hidden Tales. That is, the past researchers from Sumeru have investigated the cultural histories of Tatarasuna and Inazuma. Though the place has fallen into some degree of disrepair since the Hidden Tales were written, things have improved since the time when I wrote my original article. Regardless, what used to be an area... Oh yeah, and then this would be us doing the quest that takes away the lightning of the area, like the kind of thing. Okay, regardless, what used to be an area of major industry remains a place most inhospitable, and the residents of Tatarasuna may be found living and dwelling by the waters. The residents, when questioned, told the researchers of Tatarasuna's golden age centuries ago, when it is administered by the armory officer Niwa, vice armory officer Miyazaki, and inspector Mikoshi Nagamasa. Yet the elders among the locals with deeper ties to the region all seem to stress the fact that there were strange rumors surrounding their homeland's past. A great many of these rumors revolved around the yokai, who are so very characteristics of Inazuna's folk histories. A very small number, however, mention the word puppet. It should be known that puppets are neither traditional nor common yokai in Inazuma. This fact drew the attention of the researchers to delve further, and eventually the following pieces of information came to light. A puppet did once appear in Tatarasuna. Its visage was elegant, and its parallel impeccable, and the way it dressed hid all the joint lines on its body. If no one were to mention that it was indeed a puppet, it would be hard to tell at all. Additionally, this puppet seemed to be a special joint lines that would fade with time, potentially even disappearing altogether, which would perhaps eventually make the puppet seem entirely human. The name of the puppet was known to almost none. Some folk claimed to have spotted it appearing around Tatarasuna, while others mentioned encountering it in the central regions of the area. Some even claimed that it would frequent the beach. Tales spread of it standing beside the sea and gazing across the waters towards Inazuma City. What it was that the puppet was gazing at remains a mystery. Probably the Raiden Shogun's palace. As mentioned earlier, the 6 notes all document a certain nameless eccentric. The eccentric, which can only be read as the kabuki mono, is usually used in Inazuma to refer to a figure who dresses or behaves in a peculiar manner. It is understandable, therefore, why this character would have left such an impression. Should the people of Tatarasuna indeed have had a puppet in their midst incurring a mass panic, a good possibility considering the coexistence between yokai and humans in Inazuma at large, then the puppet would have very likely become a local resident. What is less well known is if the Kabukimono was just another title for this puppet, perhaps because it was uniquely dressed to distract attention from its more special characteristics. A workable theory, but one that still lacks enough evidence to support it. Still, it can be retained as an analytical lens of sorts. A list of individuals related to Tatarasuna have been compiled. Here, based on its historical documents from Inazuma, starting from the administrators, the records are as follow. Army Officer Niwa. Full name, Niwa Hisahide. He was the inheritor of the Ishin art and successor of the Niwa clan. His family, along with the Akame and Kadihara clans, were together known as the Ishin Sansaku. Records show that Niwa was a modest and intelligent individual who displayed remarkable talent in the administration of territory and people. His eventual whereabouts are unknown, but he was suspected to have left Tatarasuna with his family following the incident. Vice Armory Officer Miyazaki. Full name, Miyazaki Kanyo. He was Niwa's second in command. His origins are unknown, and he primarily assisted Niwa in forging and personal management. He was of a fallible temperament and had many friends in the region, including one, Mikoshi Nagamasa. Are these hiccups going to go away? That'd be delightful. Inspector Mikoshi Nagamasa, the successor of the Mikoshi clan, adopted son to the Oni warrior Mikoshi Chiyo, and the younger adopted brother to Mikoshi Michihiro, also known as Iwakura, the successor. With his mother missing and the abandoned by his brother, Nagamasa alone bore the family name, striving daily to wipe the shame from their history. Though records state that Mikoshi Nagamasa was a stubborn figure, he was also noted to be a person of moral virtue and integrity. It has been noted in various records that he practiced forging swords for self-cultivation and specially requested special instructions from Miyazaki to further his capabilities. However, after the famous blade that Tatara Nagamasa was forged, he used it to slay his subordinate Katsuragi for reasons unknown at present. Subordinate Katsuragi. Katsuragi's full name and background remain unknown. Despite all the materials I've sorted through, I have yet to find any more additional personal information regarding him. As one of the Mikoshi Nagamasa's subordinates, he was a loyal warrior who had saved by the Nagamasa in his youth. From then on, he swore to stick by his lords through thick and thin and to give his life in service if it was asked of him. The Kabakimono. Full name unknown. Background unknown. From the many sources I have compiled, combined with Rumi's personal observations, this character might have been the puppet mentioned in rumors. The Kabukimono was a figure of fashionable grace and gentleness. According to the hidden tales, he was brought back to Tatarasuna by Katsuragi and became a member of the community. When the Kabukimono first arrived at Tatarasuna, he knew nothing of cleaning, cooking, or any work of a meticulous nature. The locals taught him their skills over time, showing him how to clean his attire, dance, and craft small trinkets. Records state that the Kabukimono was there when the Datatara Nagamasa was forged, though his trial ends before the Mikoshi Nagamasa slew Katsuragi. I believe that the Kabukimono was indeed the aforementioned puppet, and that he quite likely had a hand in Katsuragi's death. It seems that the rest of the paper remains unfinished. One thing is for sure, though, a lot of thought was put into it.
Sawada was encouraging me to follow his more creative approach, but I think essays should be grounded in facts. I don't think explaining everything away with mysterious forces will cut it. Oh, how about if I plug the holes in Sawada's narrative with political intrigue? Like, I could put a turf war between rival factions at the center of the whole series of events.
Wait, you're allowed to just make stuff up? Pretty sure you've gone from essay to guessay there.
Akaba, look. Your teacher has researched this extensively. I've reached out to everyone I could think of. Whatever information we have now is all that there is to know. This is as much detail as you're ever going to get. Besides, if there really was a political power struggle going on at anything like the level you seem to be suggesting, what hope would we ever have of finding out the truth?
Good point. Okay, back to the drawing board, I guess. Give me some time. I need to find a new angle on this.
Okay, again, because of spoilers I've seen, aren't we gonna be, like, messing around with people's memories or something? Like, the tree contains all the memories of the world. And we saw in the main story quest that they purged the, first Dendro Archon, Rokshakvia? I don't remember her name. I guess it worked on me too, and they purged everyone's knowledge, and so to them, Nahida has the only Dendro Archon that's ever existed. Well then, I think, from what I've seen of spoilers, that they're gonna do the same thing to the Wanderer. I wonder how that's gonna affect his paper, or this man's story, because, like, the Kabukimono is, like, a very important part of this story. So I wonder how that'll change? Like, will we get to read the papers again once the Wanderer's been edited out of them?
We have some other stuff to do, so we'll have to say goodbye for now. Good luck with your essay!
Alright, thank you. If you find out any more info about all this, please do let me know. Thanks so much.
I can see for people who don't really care about the lore, that would be grating, because I think it just took me like 20 minutes.
That thing they were talking about, it has to do with the balladeer, doesn't it?
It just took me 20 minutes to like read off those papers, so if you just want to like get on with the story, I can see how that would be a little much.
Okay, then, even if we did know something about it, we probably couldn't share it with them, huh? After all, we kicked his butt and got him locked up. Information about people like that is usually super confidential, isn't it?
Until they die.
If you ask Paimon, Akaba should just pick a different topic. There must be as many essay topics as there are trees in the forest. There's no point in...
Sir, are you supposed to be just walking around, especially in your Fatui attire?
Hey, did you see that? He literally just went by, over there. It looked like...
Sir.
Here. No, it can't have been. He got locked up. Oh, quick, let's catch up and see.
I have mail, everyone. Oh, it's my daily sign-in mail. Alright. Well, I did think we were gonna get a little bit farther into this quest, but I do only have an hour to stream today, so we only have about 15 more minutes. Okay, I'm assuming we're going into Nahida's chamber. Also, do we just have, like, free, like, etal? Like, we can just go into Nahida's personal chamber whenever we feel like it? I can kind of see him just past that corner.
Traveler, Paimon, there you are. Nahida! Bad news. We just saw the balladeer strolling around in public. Did he escape or... Ah! It's him!
Look at that smug face.
Sure enough, you're here.
Hey! What are you doing in the sanctuary of Surasthana? Aren't you supposed to be locked up? I know you must have a lot of questions. Please, allow me to explain. It was my idea to set the balladeer free. We made a deal, and he's gonna do some investigation in Irminsul for me. A deal? You sure you trust this guy?
I love Paimon.
What did you expect? Why do you think Sumeru would keep me around otherwise? Or maybe killing me is all you can think about. But if that's the case, why haven't you done it already?
Don't flatter yourself. It was... Nahida said there's still some mysteries in you to figure out.
Ah, so if it were up to you, you'd finish the job? Guess I had you all wrong. There I was thinking you were just getting cold feet.
Also, I'm pretty sure the Traveler has, like, certain morals about killing people, but I'm also pretty sure that we murder, like, the bandits all the time in this game, so maybe not.
Well, that escalated quickly. Not a good start. Could I ask you all to please calm down? But Paimon's worried about you, Nahida. Don't let him trick you.
It's not every day you see people questioning the God of Wisdom's judgment. Just when you think you've seen it all.
Okay, but, like, you actually really attempted to murder us. Like, we were passed out, and if Yae Miku didn't intervene to give you the Electro Archon's Gnosis, I'm pretty sure you actually would have murdered us there. So, it makes sense for us to be a little bit, like, This guy is suspicious.
Don't you dare try to drive a wedge between us!
As long as the terms are reasonable, I don't think there's a problem in making a deal. Even with the Balladeer.
Considering she made a deal with the doctor.
I, for one, have no reason to doubt you. Considering you even struck a deal
What
with
I just
the
said.
doctor.
Yes, one in which I gained valuable information. You'll come to understand more about that in the fullness of time. The Balladeer's power was all but completely spent after your battle. He's no longer strong enough to be a strategic threat to us. That puts him in quite a precarious position. Plus, he's a former Harbinger with knowledge of many of the Fatui's sensitive secrets. Being stuck here in Sumeru could make him a sitting duck, depending on how the Fatui plan to respond.
Wait a second. Farmer? You mean, he's not a Harbinger anymore?
I take no pleasure in saying this, but it seems as if the doctor had no intention of welcoming back a loser, so...
Sometimes it's you using them, other times it's them using you. Most human relationships are this way. Certainly all the stable ones are. That's how it was between me and the Fatui, and also between each of the Harbingers. So as long as you have some value to offer, nobody will ever abandon you. But after recent events, even I have to admit that I'm not worth quite what I used to be. Well, if the Fatui are gonna reevaluate my utility, I need to have a backup plan for myself.
As we discussed, I don't like causing harm to living beings, and you said you need protection. So, why not join forces with us?
I think these two have made their objection to that idea fairly clear, don't you? And they're your friends, so I guess you'll be siding with them.
Yeah, obviously! Nahida, don't listen to him!
Then let's put that discussion to the side for now. We still have time. Today can be a trial run. Where we go from here will depend on how well we manage to cooperate today.
All right, then I'll do what we agreed.
Good. Go now, and keep in touch.
Nahida, are you serious about this?
Yes. I have my reasons for this decision. In fact, I'm largely doing it for your benefit.
For me?
Yes. As I told you once before, there's information about your twin in Irminsul.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's the whole reason we came to see you today. So, you have an update on that?
Mm-hmm. You may remember me mentioning that the Fatui had not included your twin's details in the Descender category. This is an extremely important point. It's possible that the Fatui have other information that even I don't know about. And since the Balladeer used to be one of them, he'll be better acquainted with this information than I am. He was granted the power to connect with Irminsul when he almost became the god of a new era. Even though he no longer has the Gnosis, some traces of its power remain in him. He can still connect. The amount of information in Irminsul is vast beyond description. Sifting through all of it without knowing what to look for would take too long, even for me. So I asked the Balladeer to search in Irminsul for any information about the Descenders. He's more familiar with this kind of information, and should be able to find it more quickly.
What if he lies to you?
Exactly! Or what if... Paimon just doesn't trust him! He's treated us as enemies every time we've run into him!
I understand. But sometimes, everything is dictated by which side you're on. How things will go in the future depends on what information he brings back. And Traveler, I know what your heart desires most of all. Our minds have connected several times before. There is a corner of your heart reserved for an intense longing. A feeling of being all alone in the dark, searching for the one candle whose light still burns. As Sumeru's deity, it is my responsibility to be on guard against the Balladeer. But as someone who counts you as a friend, I want to do something for you. If this deal with the Balladeer can give you the answers you've been longing to find, then it's worth it.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure, really. You're Sumeru's hero. You've more than earned it.
Paimon's still worried about this idea. Is there anything we can do to help?
I was going to contact you about that, but then you suddenly showed up on your own accord. Seems like we have a telepathic connection. In fact, I was going to ask you to supervise the balladeer on my behalf while he carries out the task I assigned. Even though he only has a fraction of his full power left, that's still a fraction of a former Harbinger. If you could accompany him, it would put my mind at ease. Of course, I'll be there to help guide you through Irminsul from the outside. Great. Thank you. Prepare yourselves. I'm going to transport you into Irminsul.
Do you have to do that right this second, or can we come back to that? My hour's up.
Wow. It looks pretty different here compared to last time. The colors are gentler. Guess that must be because Sumeru's at peace now.
Hopefully that will not make us restart this entire conversation. Alright, Nahida, thank you so much for your time. I have to leave right now. My hour's up. Did not expect to barely make any progress in this quest, considering I had a whole hour to work on it. But yeah, so if we are doing... I don't know exactly when Honkai Star Rail updates new info, but whenever we do our next stream, which will most likely be on Friday afternoon, so pretty late in the evening, either 7 or 8 p.m., we will, if there's any new stuff with Honkai Star Rail, we'll do that. If not, we will continue doing Genshin. I'll make sure to save up my pulls if I'm able to do any till then. And then we will continue with this quest. And in the meantime, I won't do any of the other quests. I'll just do my dailies and whatnot. So you all can look forward to it. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely day, a lovely night, lovely week. And for anyone who's studying or anyone who's got work, fighting, you can do it. So thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.